Welcome, my name is Julia Cutman of B2B International, and this is a webinar about innovation. I'm going to talk you through just 10 tips on how to develop successful new products. Before we go through the tips though, let's consider the importance of innovation. Now, innovation is a top 3 priority for over 3/4 of organisations, as it's a key growth driver in business and industry. In addition to new products generating new revenue, innovation helps build a brand, positioning the company as forward-looking as it improves its offering. Investing in innovation is therefore investing in the brand too. New product development fuels future revenues. For many organisations, at least 30% of their products are new. They've been developed within the past 5 years. Now, the more successful innovators are those who jump the curve. They tend to distance themselves from their competitors rather than innovate them. So, for example, Citibank overtook the competition when it introduced ATMs. Apple reinvented mobile technology with the smartphone and tablet. So the more successful innovators think ahead to what their customers want next, as opposed to their customers' current demands. And lastly, according to PwC, the most innovative companies grow 3 times faster than the least innovative businesses. So innovation is critical to growth. Let's move on to the 10 tips then. Tip number 1 is know your customers. Walk in your customers' shoes by immersing yourself in the product. Use it, live it, breathe it. Watch your customers, listen to them, learn from them. So, for example, Procter & Gamble conducted ethnographic research in India to better understand consumer behaviours for washing clothes. They discovered that around 80% of consumers there wash their clothes by hand, and that those consumers had a choice between detergents that were relatively gentle on the skin but not very good at actually cleaning the clothes, and much harsher agents. So in 2009, a team came up with Tide Naturals, which cleaned clothes well without causing irritation to the skin. The product was priced 30% below comparably effective but harsher products, and it helped significantly increase Tide's share in India. Tip number 2, identify the pain points. 80% of industrial innovations come from customers themselves. Such innovations are most likely to have been created by the manufacturer as a result of customer feedback and unmet needs in the market. So an example, the taxi service company Uber recognised unmet needs of business travellers and was first to market with a differentiated and less experienced taxi service offering. As it says on its website, no whistling, no waving, no cash needed. Business travellers, they can book rides using American Express reward points. They can use corporate accounts, meaning the rides are charged directly back to their employers. Uber's taken off. We've all heard about it. Back in March this year, it accounted for nearly half of all ground transportation business expenses at many companies in North America. So returning to the pain points then, it is worth bearing in mind that improvements can be made beyond the product itself. So, for example, to the packaging, to the channel, the pricing model, and so on. When looking at unmet needs, therefore, be sure to look at the bigger picture. Tip number 3 is explore the outliers. As you can see from the many images here, chainsaws are being used for various applications beyond those for which they are intended. So don't research the conventional user, find the atypical user to understand how they use your product and their expectations. The needs, the attitudes, the behaviours of these atypical users, they go far beyond those of the typical user and can provide much richer insights for new product development. So an example, an innovation consultancy was helping Innovate toilet brushes, and they researched those who were obsessed with hygiene. They found that people wrapped bristles in toilet paper to prevent contamination. And this then led to disposable, biodegradable covers for the actual brush heads, an idea that is unlikely to have been born without having researched those outliers. Tip number 4 is break the mold. Now this links to the previous tip on outliers in that it's about new applications. Here the manufacturer comes up with the new solutions as opposed to the market. Now you're probably wondering why on earth I'm showing a frying pan here. Well, PTFE, the best known brand name of which is as Teflon, was discovered by accident and originally used in World War II in the development of the atomic bomb. I believe it was the wife of an engineer who requested that he applied PTFE to her cooking pans, and then the non-stick pan was born. Tip number 5, assess alternatives. Aluminum, known more for beverage cans, is now being incorporated into Ford's new F-150 pickup. Novelis, the world's largest aluminum recycler, they sought other applications and they focused on the automotive industry. Aluminum makes the truck around 700 pounds lighter than steel. It's therefore more fuel efficient. It means Ford can also meet the new fuel economy standards with this substitute. Similarly, Dow's Betamate structural adhesives eliminate a need to weld metal to metal and I believe also metal to plastic, which results in the manufactured car being 30 to 40 pounds lighter. It results in lower gasoline use and a more energy efficient vehicle. So let's learn from the threats and embrace substitutes to jump the curve. Tip number 6 is network. The successful innovator needs to network internally and externally. This means learning from everyone who could impact your product or service in some way. Google, for example, have a culture of innovation. All of its employees are considered entrepreneurs of some kind, and their ideas are shared with thousands of co-workers for their review, for their feedback. Open innovation involves collaboration with people outside of the company. So in addition to the customers that you see here, consider partners such as a design or engineering firm, a research agency, a university. The components of Apple's first iPod, for example, were developed almost entirely outside of Apple. Consider the channel. Talk to raw material suppliers, distributors, and other players in the value chain. And competitors, research the internet to learn from their websites, from PR articles, look at their annual reports, look at the shareholder presentations, and visit their booths at exhibitions. Tip number 7, provide a solution or an experience, not just a product. Too often, B2B brands think too much about the technical features of their products and not enough about the positive difference that they could make for the customer at both a company and an individual level. So MasterCard, as you can see here, they identified an opportunity for anywhere offices to address what they thought was an important unmet need. In their words, our approach to creating innovative benefits is to identify a problem before the customer recognizes it and design a suite of solutions to manage it. So MasterCard partnered with Regus, the global workplace provider, to create the MasterCard Business Lounge, accessed with a MasterCard, of course. These are lounges for the business professional. They're across tens of cities and countries that give them the peace and quiet that business professionals need, or space for a business meeting or a call. So addressing the problem for an anywhere office, MasterCard identified a solution to an unmet need, providing an experience in doing so. Now, I think this is an excellent example of a brand serving B2B markets that could fall into the commodity trap, but has avoided that by delivering a value-added service. And in connection with my last slide on the importance of networks, this is also a good example of MasterCard requiring a partner, Regus, in the implementation of this offer. Tip number 8 is to engage emotionally. Tying nicely with the previous slide on delivering an experience, a new offering should also connect with the user on an emotional level. So arguably, the stronger the experience or the more engaged a customer is, the greater the emotional attachment to the product or brand. So let's have a look at the left side of the brain, the logical and the rational side first. So here the requirements of a new offering are to help me do my job. That could be give me something that's quick for me, easy, reliable. Meet my company needs. That could be according to a product spec, do it within my budget, what relevant experience do you have, and so on. Now these are easily measurable, they're comparable. For example, 10% cheaper, 20% faster. Now looking at the right side of the brain, here we've got emotional attributes like make me look good, make me feel special, make me feel valued. These emotional drivers are really important, but they're much harder to measure. However, they're the drivers that drive loyalty and therefore maintain the success of a new product in the long term. Research has shown that business professionals are 50% driven by emotions. They're around 50% more likely to buy a product or service when they get personal value from it. And by that I mean, for example, career advancement, pride from aligning themselves with a particular brand. And business professionals are also 8 times more likely to pay a premium when personal value is present. So the emotional pull of a new product is vital to its success from the very beginning. Tip number 9, highlight the wow factor. Every offering needs to be seen as providing value of some kind. For example, improved productivity, improved durability, cost efficiencies, and so on. Now, this makes the product differentiated, it makes it distinct, and therefore more likely to appeal to a target audience. The marketing and sales team needs to be able to deliver a compelling elevator pitch for the new product or service in order for it to be successful. So as you can see in the example here of a protective glove for the workplace, the unique selling proposition is 40 times more durable, and that this is the best general purpose glove that Ansell has ever produced. Very strong elevator pitch. And the final tip, tip number 10, is use a structured process for making go, no-go decisions. Now, many companies use a new product development process, such as the stage gate idea to launch model, and they use this to assess the viability of a new product from the idea stage right through to the fully developed product. And this ensures that all of the ideas are assessed in the same way across the company. Now, it is advisable to set success criteria. Otherwise, the owners of the idea, those who sort of came up with the idea, they could push it through the product development process simply because they're so attached to that idea, rather than basing it on customer feedback. So in other words, it really is necessary to measure the performance of a concept or prototype with a standard tool across the whole company, ensuring that all new products are assessed equally. An example is the purchase intent question that you see here. Assuming the product was offered at a price considered acceptable, which of the following best describes your intent to purchase? Then the customer would choose one answer there. Now, to pass through the stage gate process, the concept or the prototype needs to reach the required metric on purchase intent for either the top box that you see here or the top 2 box hurdle. Now, in the example here, the prototype received a green light to proceed, having achieved a top box score of 33% that falls within the standard metric top box hurdle 31 to 34%. So green light, regardless of the top 2 box, as long as it passes on either the top box or the top 2 box, then there is a go decision to move forward. Now, the benchmarks in the success criteria do need to be suitable for the particular market being researched. Sometimes they need tweaking, and depending on how many products the company wants to launch. So obviously, the lower the success criteria, the lower the scores here, the more concepts and prototypes will pass through the gate. So those were our 10 tips for successful innovation. Does anyone have any questions? I'll just wait a few seconds to see if anyone writes any questions. While I wait for that, I am on the last slide here, and you can see my email address if anything does come up after this webinar. Feel free to email me at any time. The email address is shown here, juliac, Juliac, at b2binternational.com. So someone says, any reading for innovation and new product creation? Well, I would say this, but feel free to visit our website, as you can see here, www.b2binternational.com, where we've got a large number of white papers on new product development, including case studies where we've helped other B2B brands ideate, come up with new ideas, filter those ideas and launch products. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for listening. As I say, feel free to email me with any further questions. And in the meantime, best of luck with your innovation.